Marvel's Thunderbolts with an asterisk. This isn't your typical superhero movie. It's gritty, it's grounded, it's more raw. This isn't about saving the world. It's about saving yourself. So definitely we need to talk about it. All right, welcome back, Variant. So we were talking about Thunderbolts with an asterisk, and this movie just came out on May 1st, Thursday, and I was thankful to go see it and really get into it because I've been hoping for a better Marvel movie. And this one is definitely different from what we've been seeing the past, couple years in terms of Marvel movies. At the heart of it all is Yelena Belova. Last time we really saw her was in the Black Widow movie and rolling into the Hawkeye series and having her kind of on and off with everything going on with Valentina. All right. So at the heart of all this, Yelena Belova is once again played by Florence Pugh, and she's absolutely fantastic. She's struggling with a growing emptiness, an internal void that she can't explain. She's trying to figure out. In her search for meaning, she ends up doing dirty work, of course, for the ever manipulative Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. Like, she's not alone. She's got to deal with a whole bunch of this stuff as well as whatever mission she has for her. She finds herself thrown together with a bunch of mismatched people that don't really work well together. You got all these more or less antiheroes with Bucky Barnes, Red Guardian, Ghost, U.S. Agent, and we got Sentry being introduced in this movie, who is a very unstable powerhouse, as we know. This film is part espionage thriller, part emotional drama. This is like if you took Falcon and Winter Soldier and the down-to-earth grit that it has meets Black Widow with like a lot of the past being brought forward and having to, confront all that stuff. It's not just about action. It's about the trauma, the guilt, how you cope with it, and what in the past refuses to stay buried. And if you're wondering if this team can actually hold it together long enough to get the mission done, look, things are going to get messy. So make sure you stick around because we're going to deep dive into this a little bit more. Spoilers are incoming. That was the spoiler-free version. All right, so starting us off, and let's more or less just get into it. Yelena starts off basically, like I was saying, she's emotionally, and spiritually lost. She's just doing these jobs as a distraction more than a duty. She's not happy. She doesn't know what she wants to do, but Valentina has been pulling these strings and getting these strings to get stuff done. One of these is the blackout mission she forces Yelena to join, on and go and take care of some stuff that she needs to have done. I need to have this cache cleared out, so go take care of this. So she's got to go break in and handle that, So Yelena's just going through the motion. Again, she's bored. She doesn't have a real mission or goal. She's just doing what needs to get done so she can move on and see what's next. As she's doing this and she goes ahead and clears out the mission, which is the only way she knows how, like, I can't, spy my way into it. I'm going to blow it up and call it a day. We see Bucky Barnes, who we saw in Captain America Brave New World as a congressman. He is in Washington, D.C., or he is sitting there with the Senate committee hearing, and it's heating up fast. Valentina Allegra de Fontaine is on the hot seat, and Mr. Gary, who's Wendell Pierce, he's the head of the committee. He's leading the charge and basically grilling her, laying out the case for impeachment. They're digging deep, trying to expose whatever she's really been doing behind the scenes. All right. Everything is tense. You've got lawsuits, you got accusations, there's a whole lot of veiled threats flying across that room. And even though Val's got her usual smug confidence look, you can tell she's starting to crack. She's getting worried. The whole sequence does two things. It reminds us that Valentina isn't just shady, she's dangerous. And it puts Bucky right in the middle of all of it, even if he ain't talking much. He's just there and making his presence known. All right. This really has Val really trying to set herself up to be the innocent one when we know that's not the case. After all that chaos in DC, and Val is like, yo, we got to go clear out our little stockpile. Her and her assistant, like, yo, we got to go clear the thing out now. So after all that chaos in DC, we cut back to Yelena, and she's actually visiting her father, Alexei. So we find out that the Red Guardian's been kind of hanging out. He's got his own little limo driving service he's been working on. But apparently it's been about a year since they've seen each other. And honestly, you can feel the distance between them. Yelena's just trying to vent. She's dealing with all the emptiness inside her, and she's hoping for some kind of comfort or connection. But Alexei is still stuck in the past. He's rambling on about how, Yelena, can kind of get him in on, something, put in a good word for him so he can get back to the old glory days and really be part of the team kind of thing that, he really wants to do, because that's what he knows. That's all he really, talks about. Like, that's all he really talks about. It's sad. It's awkward. Yelena wants a father. Alexei wants relevance, and neither of them really know how to bridge the gap. So it's just, causing more problems and just keeping that rift. So Yelena ends up leaving, and she ends up getting a call, or she actually calls in, and she sets up to take another mission with Valentina. She wants to have more front-facing time, but with that being said, she's like, okay, we take care of this last job for me, and we'll get you on something. Just like, I got a rogue spy that's trying to steal a secret, research from a vault. The vault's about a mile in the ground. I need you to go check it out and go and take care of that. So Yelena heads there. Turns out Yelena's not the only one sent in. One by one, she ends up coming face to face with the very people who pretty much is the team that she's supposed to be part of. All right. You've got Ghost, U.S. Agent, and Taskmaster all show up there. None of them are told the truth. They're all hunting each other. All right. You got John Walker, who is literally trying to go take out Yelena. Yelena's there to take out Ghost. Ghost is there to take out Taskmaster. Taskmaster's there to take out John. So what's the result? Honestly, it's a brutal and chaotic freaking fight that Valentina has staged to tie up all her loose ends and eliminate liabilities. She's trying to keep buried whatever she's hiding, and these are the final pieces to bury it, because these are the things that can bring everything to light. It's a heartbreaking fight. It gets messy, it gets personal, and right in the middle of it, you have Antonia Dreykov, Taskmaster, is taken out by Ghost. Fast, sudden, and painful. Appears right in front of her, one to the head, done. Taskmaster has been eliminated, which I was surprised to see it, and they actually, do that. But again, there was some backlash with the character, so some people didn't care for it. Whatever the case may be, I didn't mind it. It was a different way things are done. Again, adaptation, but I do like the original Taskmaster. Either way, I digress. All right. Basically, we go through us, and hidden in the shadows of the storage containers, we find Bob. Bob was accidentally let loose by, looks like John and Yelena's kind of scrap with each other. They ended up letting Bob out of whatever he was in. He's quiet, unstable, and he's a walking nuclear bomb with a fragile mind. That's what we know about Sentry. And this moment is what flips the entire story in his head, because the mission wasn't about stopping the spy. It's a setup to get rid of each other. And now the whole crew is left with blood on their hands and a god-level wild card in their lap. Like, what are you going to do? So they end up having to find a way to get out. So after they finish the warehouse showdown, things take a dark turn. They're trying to piece together what really happened, and they've all been played and manipulated and set up to destroy each other. And to make matters worse, they're not just on a mission, they're inside a death trap. The entire facility is actually one massive incinerator that Valentina planned for them not to walk out of. She wanted to wipe them out, clean, solid, and off the books. So with that, and fire cleanses everything. But the team rallies for the first time. They're not fighting each other. They're fighting back. So they end up, figuring out how to break out, pushing through Valentina's private forces in a desperate escape to get out of there. And during the process of this, we see that Bob he's trying to help the entire time. He's trying to help, but keeps told, like, just stay back. You're in the way. This is not what you're for, because again, he has no powers. He has nothing. He has no skills. He's just there. He doesn't really remember why he's there. So they can't really utilize him. Right. Eventually, as the team finally finds a way out and they're about to escape, but they get stopped at the gate, Bob ends up making a self-sacrifice decision to go get everybody's attention. It's like, they want me, because everybody recognized Valentina when they drove past her, that she showed up to collect her prize, because she's like, that's Sentry. Her sister looked at the tablet at some point and it's like, yo, Sentry's in there. When they're getting ready to turn on the incinerator, he's in there. And the system worked. If he's still alive, that means, what she was doing worked. So she wants to go get her prize. So they almost escape. But again, Bob is one who makes sure that they do escape and they're able to get out of there. And they think that Bob was taken out, but actually, turns out he's bulletproof. He took all that, shots and so that got up and ended up flying, like floating for a half a second, and then shot straight up into the air. And once he got up into the air, he just kind of lost consciousness at that point and just plummeted back to Earth and landed. And everyone saw it, but they're not able to go back and get him. Valentina is able to claim her prize and, move on. But it was a self-sacrifice play to really help the team get loose because he was looking out for them, even though he barely knew them. So it shows you that he's got some good in him. He's trying to figure stuff out. All right. So during the chaos of their escape, some unexpected things happened. Quietly devastating, to be honest. Yelena and John both came into brief physical contact with Bob. Yelena first, then John. And in that moment, it's like time stops. Bob's powers don't just destroy, they reveal. So when he touches them, he sees into their past and he pulls them in with him. It's like falling into a void, reliving their very memories that they've been trying to bury this entire time. For Yelena, it's loneliness, guilt, disconnection from her family and her purpose. For John, it's the shame of the things that he did as Captain America and everything that followed with him freaking, not being able to be a good enough husband and father, and all that stuff is really kind of coming to the forefront. All right. It's only lasts a few seconds, but it cuts deep. Like you can see the impact. These characters who have been operating with all this anger and all this bravado are suddenly stripped down to something raw and real. Like it is straight up like this hurts. The moment isn't flashy, but it's one of the film's most important things. It shows that Bob isn't just unstable, he's a mirror. And when you look into him, you're forced to face whatever's inside you. Now that's powerful, and that's some really good writing, and it got me excited. Like I was hooked throughout the rest of this movie easily. So after they, escape Valentina's fiery death trap and they find themselves on a run, enter Alexei. Alexei was driving Valentina earlier and found out where they're going to be. So he's come barreling in like a chaotic dad in a getaway car trying to save the day and maybe redeem himself a little in the process, dressed up in his suit and ready to go. But just as they're catching their breath, Valentina's private army shows up, guns blazing. They're trying to take out Alexei, who's not able to really shake them. It's not looking good until guess who shows up? Familiar face, Bucky Barnes rolls in. Thanks to the assistant who's saying, hey, you can track my phone, right? Track my phone and you'll be able to find me. And basically he's able to find her and find out what's going on. And again, he's against Valentina and whatever she's been up to. So again, having the assistant kind of turn, because he already saw she's kind of on the fence. She's starting to turn and kind of give him information. Now he can start to help the case along and help Gary, get the case done. So at first it seems like he's there to save them, and then he quickly goes and he takes them down as well. It's like, what's going on? Did the words start coming in? So they start speaking the words and get the mind control and stuff again. No, it's not necessarily what it is. He's still working with the Senate committee trying to figure out what's going on, but he sees them as evidence that can be used against Valentina, and he's really trying to get Valentina done because she is the bigger problem. But when they are talking about Bob and he ends up getting the call from the assistant about Bob because they're taking Bob to a new location, Bucky has to make a command decision. He's like, all right, well, we got to handle this. So he ends up releasing them. It's like, yo, not the handler, he's one of them. Let's get right into it. In the middle of this dusty brutal escape, and these misfits actually start to become a team. So, and the thing is, there's no grand speeches and no big flags. It's literally just survival, trust, and a name. And Yelena offhandedly talks about the Thunderbolts, which is her childhood soccer team. Scrappy underdogs, never really won, but never gave up. And just like that, the name sticks. They become the Thunderbolts, and that's why you got Thunderbolts with an asterisk. They're not really claiming it, but they're claiming it. And Alexei is very excited to have them as a team called the Thunderbolts. So this is a great little formation moment and how it kind of all came together. And now they got to figure out, okay, well, what's the plan? With nowhere else to run and everything on the line, the Thunderbolts got to make a move. And thanks to their ally with the assistant, they go and they find their way to where Sentry is, which they took over the old Stark Tower, which became the Avengers Tower. Apparently Valentina or the CIA or somebody bought it somebody bought it. Looks like her, but under her corporation, whatever the case would be, she has it. But that's where the rest of the team has to go, the old Avengers Tower, and that's where she's been hiding. The place that once symbolized hope and heroism for the city is now a twisted throne room, more or less, for her to hatch whatever scheme she's got going on. So team's like, hey, we're going to drive this truck in there. So they storm into the building ready for a fight, only to find something even worse. Like, they got a warm welcome. Like, I left the door open for you. Come on in. Really? What is she planning? Valentina wants them there. Like, she's already won. She's already got in her head that she's got what she wanted because she's able to take Bob, and she's been rehabilitating Bob since she's had him, talking to him all nicely and stuff like that, kind of looking like a mother figure, so that she has her kill switch installed. So if he gets out of hand, she can shut him down. You know, that's part of the thing. She's trying to help him figure out his power. So he's starting to, telekinetically move stuff and get him right, put on his suit, dye his hair and stuff like that. He's looking all good. Like, she's been reshaping Bob into her perfect creation this entire time while they've been scrambling to survive. Her ultimate weapon, her bulletproof answer to impeachment, and her way to lock down absolute power. Sentry. That is what she got. But she doesn't just want to control him. She wants to use him like he's a product, a puppet. And while she's polishing off her victory speech, Bob is unraveling behind the scenes, haunted by his past and his self-doubt. Like, it's getting to him. The crushed belief that he'll never be enough is still getting to him, because that's what was said before. Like, hey, you're not enough. Get out of the way. You're not be able to do what I need you to do. And again, this is all ticking. This isn't just a political power play anymore. Like, this is a countdown. Like, Sentry is a ticking time bomb waiting to go off. All right, and it's getting good. So the Thunderbolts finally confront Valentina, and they're talking. She's posturing the entire time. They're talking to her, trying to get her just to turn herself in. And then when they try to talk with Sentry, who is revealed in all his glory, they're trying to talk to him. And again, he is now the hero. And Bob, he's buying into all of it. Sentry is in it. Valentina's manipulation runs deep. She's been feeding him the fantasy of being the most powerful hero in the world has ever seen, stronger than the Avengers combined. And now with the spotlight on him, he's standing taller, colder. Like, he is just like, yo, I am that dude. I'm getting Homelander vibes for a minute. So that. And Yelena, she's been quietly trying to mentor Bob throughout the film. She's been talking to him about how you got to push the stuff down and just fight your way through it and stuff like that. And, trying to give him advice and stuff like that, just on how she's been dealing with stuff. And, she steps up and she's trying to talk him down and remind him who he is and what he really wants, but it's too late. The team ends up engaging Alexei first, so at that, and it's a massacre. Sentry absolutely wipes the floor with them. Every punch, every blast is a reminder of how they just can't keep up. Again, they throw guns and bullets and punches and stuff like that. They don't really have anything that can really contend with Sentry. But this is where Valentina makes her mistake. She's boasting and she's bragging that her creation is stronger than all the Avengers combined, that she made Earth's mightiest weapon. He is going to be Earth's mightiest weapon. And then something in Bob's mind snaps. If he's stronger than the Avengers and one of them was a god, then what does that make him? Why should he take orders from anyone? Just like that, he's got a god complex that kicks in and he turns on Valentina. And she's panicking. She's going for the kill switch. She drops it and she's trying to scramble. But as he's got her up against the wall, he's about to end her. Her assistant is the one that comes in and manages to hit the switch and shut him off. And he just drops to the ground. And they're like, okay, yeah, we got to get out of here, clean up the body, something, whatever. But in doing so and shutting down Bob, again, that's how it is. They shut down Bob. They shut down Sentry, so that, which allowed the void to start to manifest. And that's where stuff is starting to get real. Void is starting to manifest, and we see the shadows starting to come over. But, while this is going on, the Thunderbolts had to escape because they got completely wrecked. And so that, where Bucky's arm got ripped off. So that, granted, it was just attached so he could put it back on. But, he's been through this a lot. He's tired of people taking his arm, I'm sure. But everyone's reeling. Yelena's overwhelmed. She's lost in that emptiness again, and she tries to get away just to breathe. But Alexei chases her down, and this time he's not joking. He doesn't deflect. He's actually trying to talk to her, and he apologizes. She says that he should have been there, and he says he's right. You should have had me to rely on. I should have been there for you, but he didn't know what to do and stuff like that. And he's telling her that she is the light in his life. When she's around, everything feels brighter, and most importantly, that he sees her, that she matters. All right, this is great. And speaking as a father, and so this is a powerful father-daughter moment. Maybe one of the most heartfelt scenes in the whole movie. Like, I felt it whatever. Like I got emotional. Like it felt good to hear him say that to his daughter, but it doesn't last long because we see everybody starts looking up and screaming what's going on. We see just a shadowy figure of the void, more or less, just floating in the sky. And anybody that comes near, more Valentina's forces with that, he just starts poof, shadows. And he's just absorbing them, freaking turning them into shadows, pulling them into the void, and just gone. And it's just it's going. It's like, what are we gonna do? Frick said, you know, everything with Void is about just taking and building up to, take all that stuff and just shove it away in the emptiness, in the darkness. But while this is going on, the city is now crumbling around it. Everybody's turning into living shadows. Buildings are falling down. Streets are vanishing. It's chaos, absolute chaos. That's when Yelena makes a choice. Still haunted by her own stuff, but freaking, she's like, we got to fight it. We got to do something. And she ends up going to start saving people, and she starts helping people. And as she's doing this, everybody starts coming together. All the other Thunderbolts and stuff like that start coming together, and they do what they can to save as many people as they can. And they do it to a round of applause. Like, people are applauding and seeing all this stuff. And guess who? Valentina, she sees all this going on. She's like, why are they applauding? Like, wow, they're applauding them of all people, these losers, these people that don't amount to anything. Like, what's going on? You got Yelena, who's dealing with her trap, her past is with that. John Walker, whose family left him because he couldn't focus and get his stuff done. Ghost, who's trying to hold herself together. Alexi, who's holding on to the glory days. Freaking, the congressman that freaking barely was. Like, these group of losers and misfits don't deserve all this, but they're getting it. But all this is overshadowed, pun intended, by the Void, who is still looming over and taking everything. And as he looms in closer to the Thunderbolts, we see that Yelena walks up closer to him and is just like, there is something there, and she's got to freaking face it. It's like she can't just keep running from it. Like, something there is calling her, and inside it's not just darkness, it's the memory, the pain, the regret, everything. And she's forced to deal with this, and she ends up walking into the Void, and Alexi loses it. I mean, that's his baby girl. I'd be losing it too. He's losing it because he's thinking that he lost her. She's gone. And while they're trying to figure out, what do we do? What is, what's happening? So that freaking Ghost is like, I'm going to go after her. Because, all this time they've been snippy and doing all stuff with others, they've slowly been bonding and building. So it's like, I'm going to go after her. I'm going to go figure out what's going on. And while they're trying to figure that out, we see Yelena inside the Void, and she's reliving, her past trauma. So it's like, what's going on with her? We see stuff with the first assassination that she had to deal with, about the punishment in the Red Room for not assembling your weapon together fast enough. What's going on? And throughout this, she casually looks through mirrors and stuff like that, which is where that reference came in. And she sees Bob in the mirrors because everything is a reflection of what he sees when he touches them and forces you to look back. So she sees him, and eventually she's able to go further in, and she sees herself as an adult, and fighting against herself and the rage and the drinking and the sadness and everything that she's been dealing with. Like, this is a hard pill for her to swallow, but she's got to face it. Like, again, this was so good. Like, the writing on this was phenomenal. So eventually we get in, and she finds freaking Bob, and we see that he's at the center of it and so like that. And we finally see his past, his childhood, the fear that he's had to deal with, an abusive father, a mother who kept looking the other way whenever, she would get abused and he would get abused. Him trying to protect the people he loved, and he got punished for it. No wonder his mind broke. No wonder the Void found a home in him. But that darkness, is still there, and it doesn't, just go away and so that. And Yelena's got to figure it out. She's got to, figure out what's happening. So they end up going further into the Void to try and find a way out, because trying to run away doesn't do anything. So go deeper. So it only gets darker, and they go further than they've ever intended to go, probably further than Bob's ever gone, because he said this was the safest room that he's able to be in, just like in an attic playing with some toys and stuff like that. But again, he ends up pushing forward with the rest of the team, who ends up joining and stuff like that. And they're all there to confront whatever this is. And we see far beyond the memories and the trauma, at the center of all of it, they find the entity. They find the pure embodiment of Void itself. And it's not just the darkness. it's sentient and it's waiting and it's calling out to him. And the entity easily overpowers them, relentless, overwhelming, like just going ham, strapping them to the walls and throwing stuff, spikes through them, whatever the case may be, to subdue them, just so it can be one-on-one with Bob. And then Bob has to finally make a choice. For the first time, he stops running and he fights back. But the more he fights, the more the void wraps around him and feeds on his rage. Like, this is what it wants. It's like that. So you see him scrapping. You see the contrast of colors, whatever, but he's scrapping. And you see the void slowly start to consume him more and more. And that's when Alexi's able to kind of push the thing so that Yelena can get out. She runs towards him. And she goes because she knows something's not right. And she tells her, like, it's not right. And she starts to pull him back. And one by one, each of the Thunderbolts manages to get loose as the void, grip on them is being, loosened. And they run up and they all start to pull. And basically it looks like a big group hug, like somebody who's just really going through it and just needs that reassurance like that. They're all grouped around him to pull him off and stop him from letting out his rage and aggression. And they're able to break free from their own strength. So it's like physically, emotionally, symbolically, like mentally, everything. They didn't have no weapons, no power, nothing to really fight with. There's themselves and their empathy for him to pull him off of him and grab him back. So at that, they all end up pulling him back and kind of falling to the floor. And at that moment, together, they bring him back. They bring him back from the void. The void collapses. They're exhausted. They're broken, but they're together. Like, they managed to do, this was a team effort, a human pile of pain, redemption, and maybe for the first time, some actual healing. Like, they're actually starting to feel what it is that they've been dealing with. They've been suppressing for long. They actually try to get some healing out of it, some realization. But when they wake up, they're back on the street. The sky's quiet. All the people who were lost are starting to turn back into what they were before. They're not shadows anymore. They're back as themselves, alive and whole. Sentry is calm, doesn't have a memory of what happened, but the void is suppressed. And the Thunderbolts aren't just the saviors anymore. They're an actual team. Like, they came together. And in the process of this, they see Valentina, who's trying to escape, and they're like, yo, we need to go after her. We need to get her. And she's trying to escape through this little curtain and so like that of this little thing that came down. As they chase her through, just as they start to freaking, get through and just like, bam, we're about to get her. Nope. They chase her down right through a curtain entirely of news crews and cameras waiting. So Valentina pulled one last trick. She turned the cameras around and said, like, bam, this is her team, her creation, her new Avengers that she built. Everything that happened was part of her master plan, right? But Yelena's done playing along. She calm, cool, calculated, just walks up to her and says, we own you now. We own you. Because now that they're front facing in public and stuff like that, Valentina can't get away with her little schemes anymore. She may have saved herself, but she can't get away with her schemes as easily anymore. Because everything's in the public light right now as far as the Thunderbolts. Well, now they're the new Avengers. So it's great. No big speech, just a promise. We own you, and you got to deal with this. And just the cameras flash, and the Thunderbolts stand there, and the wreckage of everything that just survived. Is one thing that's clear: is this is a team of heroes. Like, they're better. Like, they're gone through trauma. They're a family, more or less, in my eyes. Like, this is redemption for them. So it's like this has been a long fought journey to get here. But again, with this kind of thing, again, it's not just about this moment. It's about what you do after this. So, and they continue to prove that. So it's like 14 months later, everything's changed. The Thunderbolts have officially stepped into the spotlight as the new Avengers, whether the world likes it or not. But it's not all praise and praise. They're getting, critics calling them the B Avengers instead of the Avengers. Social media trolls are saying, not my Avengers. The public's divided on them as a team, but they're still out there, still trying, training, preparing, because something is coming and it's big. They're trying to get into a rhythm and figure it out. And we hear stuff about Sam Wilson, Captain America, who, if you haven't watched Captain America Brave New World, he's assembling his own Avengers team, which he was given authorization to do by the president, aka Red Hulk. So, and he's even filed a trademark for the Avengers. So with the new Avengers and the regular Avengers, or maybe the West Coast Avengers, or they'll become the new Avengers and this becomes something else, the Dark Avengers, whatever. I don't know however they want to do it. They're still trying to work that out. So now it's a Avengers power struggle, more or less, on who's going to carry the name. But it's tension brewing as far as that goes. But while they're sitting there trying to figure that stuff out and talking, and Alexi's just living it up because he made it to the Wheaties box, we see Yelena's tablet light up, and a satellite feed talks about freaking there's something coming. Like there's still a cosmic threat that's out there looming, and we finally see a spaceship coming in. And we're like, what is that? But as that spaceship slowly starts to rotate, we see the Fantastic Four logo on there. Subtle, Fantastic Four. The movie closes with a final promise. The new Avengers and Bob, because he can't use powers, because the void has been suppressed. The new Avengers and Bob will return. So that's the wrap up of the movie. That's the recap. Hopefully I was able to lay all that out for you. So like that, freaking, this movie was really, really good. This is one of the best Marvel movies I've seen in a while, and I'm very happy to have seen. I can't wait to go back and watch it again. There is so much to just really break down and emotionally and just kind of go through with the characters of this movie. This took them through that morally gray territory. All right, devastating issues, having to turn on each other and fight, tear down, build back up. In the end, the Thunderbolts doesn't just tie things up neatly. It leaves you with scars. There's scars on the characters, there's scars on us as the audience. It's not so much a redemption arc as much as it, an unflinching look at broken people who are doing what they can to hold it together in a world that would rather forget them, would rather throw them off to the wayside. Like, it can't get any better than this. And I've been rambling on for 30 plus minutes, but again, this was that good. So I hope I broke it down well enough for you to, really talk to me in the comments. Tell me what you think. What parts were your favorite? Freaking, what parts, had you emotionally charged? Was it good? Was it bad? What did you think about it? I loved it. Freaking, this movie, it's high up there. Freaking, I'm in the 8-9 range with this movie. Very happy with it. So please, I want to hear all your comments. I want to hear what you got to say. Everything that goes along with it. Make sure you hit that lovely red subscribe button. Again, I want to hear from you. I am super excited to see what they got coming next. Fantastic Four, the first steps, sometime this summer. And again, this is a direct reference to it. So while I believe this movie is going to take place in the past and then kind of be brought forward, which is what we're seeing, it'll really be able to set up for everything that they got going forward with Avengers, Fantastic Four, X-Men possibly on the horizon. Again, young Avengers, teams are being built, stuff is happening, greater threats are on the horizon. And like anyone knows, this is what Marvel does, and they do it very well when they actually put together a good, cohesive story. And this right here is some great freaking framework. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I think, did fantastic. Black Widow wasn't freaking the best, but it set up a strong character with Yelena. And again, this movie brought it all together for those characters who are in that grounded world of trying to figure out what do we do next. Fantastic. That's all I got for this one. Freaking, I appreciate you guys, and I will catch y'all in the next one.